The floor slants downhill, and this little girl cries for food. The leaves to make this meal were plucked from a tree in the city. The rent here is cheap for Istanbul, only $30 a month. But for this family, it is still too much.
The landlord threatens to kick us out if we don't pay. He says you won't live here.
Ismahan and her family normally sell tissues to drivers at traffic lights. But since the pandemic began, this kind of work is not allowed. Most Syrian refugees in Turkey work in the informal sector and are now without incomes. Many can no longer afford to pay the rent. A patchwork of aid organizations provides some food, money, and supplies, but it is never enough. Parents say they fear their children will starve if the pandemic continues.
It is the same fear. In Syria, we were stuck in the house afraid of being killed by the bombs. Now we are afraid of going out and getting the virus.
Turkey hosts at least 3.5 million Syrian refugees, more than any other country in the world. But resentment runs deep, and the government has encouraged them to leave. Refugees say as Turkey grows poorer because of the pandemic, locals grow more hostile.
There was racism before the virus. They always say, go back to your country. They think we are taking the food from their mouths, but we are not. We are working to feed our families.
Mohammad is now out of work and says he no longer sleeps because he cannot stop worrying. Even after suffering through war and multiple displacements, he says, the hardest thing for him is to say no when his hungry children ask for food. Heather Murdoch, VOA News, Istanbul.